Good evening, everyone. Tonight I'd like to give you a crash course in CPR for waltz, because we have to be able, in playing the piano, to create a pulse. And if you think of someone getting CPR, you think of a regular repeating massage or pulsing to get the heart going again and beating on its own. And when the piece can have that natural beat on its own with you just enjoying it, when you're listening to it, then you're in the groove and you're feeling the music. So it's how to get that. We can use the metronome, and sure, that'll set it for a steady beat. But if you can imagine the heart is being stimulated, the heart of the piece, by your hands, massaging the keyboard in that sense, when you drop in with your relaxed weight, and energizing, giving energy to the piece, to the beat, to the pulse of the music, you're more likely to be able to keep it in the groove. So my nephews gave me for my birthday a hand massage unit, and it's this thing here. I don't know if you've ever seen anything like that. It's quite unique. You put your hand, your fingers right in there, and then it starts doing all this kind of stuff in different patterns of air compression. And there's my fingers sticking through the other end. But it's quite a unique, and it has heat as well. So, and different intensities. So it's a wonderful little gadget for making your hands feel warm. Now, I can use the metronome and keep steady with a pulse, but in that way, you're not creating the pulse. You're trying to, like bow and arrow, you're trying to hit it with a target, hit the target on the pulse. Whereas when you're feeling it yourself and creating this massaging effect to the music, you're more likely to hear how steady you're keeping it, because you want to keep the patient or the piece alive. So I'll show you to begin with the metronome, and then I'll show you a couple of things you can do, because you don't have to keep strictly every beat the same. The length of beat one can be a little weeny bit shorter and kind of spring off of it, just short staccato, like almost like a pluck. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It energizes it in a smooth hydraulic way when you can do that. So beat 3 becomes a little bit longer than it should be. Beat 1 is a little bit shorter, but beat 3 is that little bit longer, so you take the time to ride up over top and into a gentler beat 1. So if I could take the blue Danube, I'd go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It gives it a sense of sophistication when you can add that element to the performance. So, but you need to get the foundation first, and that's the steadiness. And if you can get it steady like that, that you're creating the pulse with the metronome, right in sync with the metronome, to be totally in the groove of that metronome pulse, then that's a good place to start. So if I put, this is going to be the waltz in A minor of Chopin. So if I think 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, pulse, 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 pulse. So if I try to do that without the metronome going now, it's a lot easier to visualize in my mind and to feel the sensation in my hands of creating a pulse, massaging someone's heart to get it going. So if I think pulse, 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 pulse. So you see, it's much easier to hold to a steady pulse when you have this massaging feel that you're creating this pulse, and your wrists will be loose, and you can just let the finger weight drop if that's all you want. You're playing inside the keys, and you just let the finger drop, and then it can pluck or it can spring, or you can let the finger move your wrist up over to have the closest distance to the next note as possible. You're always trying to minimize that distance when you're trying to play smoothly like that and evenly like that, and not have big distances where you're out of the keys. So hopefully that'll give you some ideas when you're practicing to be able to listen and understand why it's getting faster, if it is getting faster when it shouldn't be getting faster. It's creating that pulse yourself from inside of you and feeling that you're keeping the patient or the piece alive because you know what you're doing. It makes all the difference in the world. And then you can start to shape your phrases and make the piece sound with form, and make it sound like a little jewel in itself, all by itself, just because you have a foundation that is alive already because you've practiced it into the piece that way. So I hope that gives you some ideas with your practicing. Have a good night now. Bye-bye.